Hi everyone, my name's Tracy Shepman. I'm Dr. Shepman's wife, also known as Mrs. Shepman. Pretty much 5 days a week, I am Mrs. Shepman in this classroom. I teach special education here in Ellensburg, and I teach in a classroom where kids come and go, and some stay longer than others. It's just, meeting all those goals on those IEPs. But today he asked me to talk about my token economy and how I use it in my classroom. This is how it is. I'm showing you right now what we call pause points. Pause points are the token part of the economy, if you will. That is the token that will lead you to the reinforcer, which will happen at a later date. So kids earn pause points for specific behaviors. The thing about most successful token economies or any successful behavior program is that you want to define your behavior very carefully, very specifically. And in my classroom, we not only define it, we teach it, and we teach it, and we teach it, because a lot of my students are here with social skills on their IEPs and such. So we're pretty careful about that piece. To earn a pause point, you have to be safe, be respectful, and be responsible. I'm going to just move over and show you the chart that we as teachers even refer to. We teach to it. We're carefully. So for example, we don't say things like no blurting. We say raise your hand before talking. We don't say don't hit. We say hands to self. We're trying to promote the replacement behavior. We're trying to be positive, but we're also being very, very specific and very exact. So here's how it works in our room for a given day and a given week. Every student comes to my class and participates in a small group for however many minutes that group is a day. Sometimes they're here for 4 different groups, 30 minutes at a shot. Sometimes they're here for 60 minutes. But during every single group, you have the possibility of earning 3 points. Sometimes I do it. There's lots of ways to do it. Sometimes it's a pay-as-you-go. That would probably be the best way. That's probably what the experts say will yield you best results. So you pay as you go. When you see the behavior, you immediately reinforce it. I have groups with some pretty challenging behaviors, students that are working on some pretty challenging behaviors. So sometimes we do what's called a cost response method. I put the 3 possible points out on their desk that they are possibly there to possibly earn, hopefully earn. And if they are not being safe, I pull one of the points. I say it carefully. I say it with no judgment. I'm very calm. Darn, you lost a point. You weren't being safe. I'm pretty specific though, so it would have to be you threw your pencil or you're tipping your chair. I've asked you to stop. You're not. That's not respectful. You lost a point. So those are the examples. But most students, given the enough practice and enough opportunities, earn 3 points because they really want what those tokens are going to give them. It's then I'll move on and I'll tell you the tokens here in the basket are my bank, and each teacher in this classroom has a bank. Sometimes they can trade their pause points in. If they have 5, they can get a 5-pointer or a 10. They're like dollars. Clearly these are not pretty. They're not even Pinterest worthy, but necessity is the mother of invention. We made them on the fly, and when something works, you just don't have to fix it because it isn't broken. So I'll show you my store. We earn points all week, and then on Fridays we have Friday store. It's also known as Shep Mart. And it works like this. All of these bins are pulled down. I'll kind of get a shot. So those are the bins. Usually the items are all inside, but I took some out so it'd be easier for you to see. So in the 5-point bin, rather than having to price every item, anything in that bin is worth 5 pause points and will cost you that much. You can tell by Tootsie Rolls, Smarties, those are pretty popular, but I have a lot of kids who will do anything for a toy, a small token. That's all that matters. Inside, rings, anything. Candy canes were a big hit right before Christmas, you know. And then 10 points. As you can imagine, they're just a little bit more desirable. Pens, bigger lollipops, chocolate, a box of Nerds, like that would be pretty awesome. That's probably why there's only 1 box left. You know, it's funny, every year goes by and each group of kids likes different things. There are these candies called Crybabies. I don't like the name, but they loved them last year. My students last year would do anything for that. They're very sour. This year, not so much, you know. So then this is the 25 bin, gets higher. You can see a little bit more and, you know, more expensive. However, sadly, candy's the cheapest, so I have to give out a lot of candy with permission, parent permission, and we have rules. You can't spend all of your bucks on Friday for all the candy because you can't get more than 3 pieces. I don't want to get in trouble with anybody's dentist or moms, for that matter, or dads, or adults in their lives, whoever that may be. The 50 bin, okay, now we're getting up into the dollar items at the dollar store. A lot of this has been donated to me, and that's the 100 bin. Much of that was donated. Can students save, and can they ask to have things put on hold? Oh yes, we have quite a system for that. We have what's known as, you can put a hold on something. It's kind of like a library book, you know. The other things that I want to mention, let's see. Well, I think I pretty much covered it. It's not that difficult. You have to be consistent. That's pretty important. The thing about this is, people have asked me lots of questions. So if we were in person, you could ask me more. But here are some questions. Someone's asked me before, fines. Do you fine kids? I prefer not to. I don't know what the research is on it, but I always feel like if a kid's earned something for something desirable and it's in their bank, that later if they don't do something desirable that I would prefer, I hate to withdraw from a bank of things that they've already earned for other things. I'd rather just put the points out and not reward them, have them lose something that's possible. That's more like a non-reward that day. I'm sure there are technical terms, and I will bet you they're all in your textbooks, but I just know what works and what doesn't, and why I do it. Super positive on Fridays. One of the byproducts is counting, and we're getting kindergartners who can count and put in stacks of 10, which sounds easy, but it's not for a lot of my students. So we are lining up in sets of 10s, and we're learning how to ask for help. We're learning how to make a fair exchange. We're learning how to add and subtract. So then you get into, once you have your number, you get an adult to help you verify that your number's correct. Then you're talking about going to the store and actually buying things and making trades and making change. I have some students who get to practice making change, and I have some students who save. Not very many. It's rare. I was a saver, but you know, I've learned in this biz, not a lot of my students are savers. It's very difficult. Instant gratification, pretty important. But if they are earning enough throughout the week, they can spend most, save some, and see how fast it adds up. So that's why I let them hold items so that they can look at them and think about them and make plans, you know, set your goals for the week. A lot of this also can be tailor-made to each student. We can work on specific goals. I also have students who don't have any trouble in my classroom. They don't even have trouble in their general classroom, but sometimes they need that extra incentive in specialists, like in library or in music class or in PE or whatever other room you're in with a different adult. And oftentimes I'll just give those teachers a handful because they equal points there, equal points here, and we work out a deal. The other thing is it works great with our whole school-wide behavior system. It goes really well because we, our school motto, our school mascot, there you go. Our school mascot is a bobcat. And so there are Bobcat Bucks, and mine are Pause Points because it was made before we had Bobcat Bucks. But Pause Points equal the same as Bobcat Bucks. So you can spend in my room, you can go get your Bobcat Bucks from your general class, and you can bring them in here, and vice versa. So it all, it all works for you. And really, in the end, it's for them because they're practicing the behaviors that are going to make them better students. And of course, improve learning. That's our target, right? Hey, any questions? I'll answer them later. If you submit them, I will be happy to answer any questions. I'm sure I've forgotten something.